I'm Brent Leary.
That scared me. I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and we are actually in our own little worlds this time for the first time in 3 weeks, I think. 3 weeks.
Well, you'll have to speak for yourself. I live in my own little world, even when I'm away.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, look, think about it this way. Engage with Paul and Kenny says live from New York. And as you well know, we are nowhere near New York, right?
It says live from New York, really?
Yeah, oh yeah. A whole history of it. It's live from New York, but that's what's going on in my head the whole time.
Okay. Well, you're live from New York in your head.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm always in my own little world.
Well, I'm glad to be in my own little world, but I'm live from Stockbridge, Georgia. And it's like perfect weather-wise. And look who's back.
Oh my.
Wow. What the
Thank
hell is all
God,
that?
man. Okay, let's
It's
see.
the moment is Finn. And
This is
he's even giving us who said it. Anthony Gaudi. That should be
Gaudi he's Spain, but that's not a Spanish
well, wait a minute.
language.
Was Kurt Gaudi Spanish?
No, Gaudi's the guy who does that, has done that incredible cathedral that's still not finished after, I don't know, 100 years.
Well, why doesn't he finish it?
Well, because he's dead, but
Oh.
right, but it's been going on. I actually saw the cathedral when Yvonne and I were in Spain, and it's just incredible, but that is definitely not Spanish. That is, I'm guessing it's something like Indonesian or Malaysian or something, although the NG Espiritu throws me off a little, but the rest of it looks more in the, I'm guessing, Indonesian here.
All right, well, I'm just going to stick with Kurt Gaudi, and I heard him call a number of games, so I don't know what
So
that
we'll say
is.
this is football. This is the language is football.
It's not Pig Latin.
Or baseball, or the Olympics, or I mean, it's Gaudi, man.
All right. So what was your answer?
I'm saying, I want to say Indonesian or some dialect of Indonesia because there's like a lot of it. Maybe Filipino or something.
You should have gone with that one.
Oh, look at that.
Glory is the light. Light gives joy, and joy is happiness of this. Wow, we got really deep.
That's right.
Wow. Finn, you do know this is CRM players. We're really not a deep show.
Right. This is not actually the show representing the Archdiocese of Chicago.
Or any diocese of any city of any
or any religion, so that we can be ecumenical about it all.
Yeah. That.
And by the way, the Filipino is actually Tagalog. That's the language. Tagalog.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they call it. Tagal.
Like tag along or something, but
kind of.
But Tagalog. Anyway, we are the CRM players, and guess what? We've been bringing the AZ since 2009.
Someday I'll understand that.
I just like saying it at this point. I don't know what it really means. Listen, you got an amen on that.
All right,
all right, there you go. Woo. Maybe we are getting deeper here. I don't know.
Look, I know we have been bringing the AZ since 2009. I just don't know what it is.
I know. We're gonna have to find out sometime, but I just like saying it. You know what? I'm gonna have to cut that up and make that a little clip. Just that bringing the AZ.
We can have merch that says "Bringing the AZ."
I don't know.
T-shirt. Bringing the AZ. I'm bringing the AZ.
I don't know. I don't think I want to be walking around in public with a shirt that says "Bringing the AZ."
Oh, not us. Other people will buy it and walk around with it. That's the idea. It'll sound cool. Okay. It'll sound like they've got something going that nobody else does until 1 million people buy the T-shirt.
Okay. Well, we whether we wear the shirt or not, or you wear the shirt or not, we have been bringing the AZ since 2009, and January of next year, 15 years of the CRM players.
Oh man.
Seems like we ought to do something about that. I don't know.
I think we maybe should. Hey, what about
Yeah. Hey, what about we bring the ass? No.
we bring the ass to Atlanta?
Well, I know one thing. We're gonna have a really fun and good show today, but I do like to point out this is not a webinar, folks. This is not a session. This is a show. We like to call it a show, right?
And yes, we are live streaming, but we are broadcasting.
Ooh.
We are not. What everyone always says? It's not a podcast.
No,
either.
not a podcast. No.
We're not a podcast. Everyone, even our guests, sometimes, a lot of times, go, "What time do I have to be on your podcast?" And my answer to them is always, "Never," because we don't have one.
No, but the thing that irritates me, and I know people mean well, it's just hard to break out of the usual business stuff.
Lingo.
Webinar, yeah, like it's a webinar or a session. No, we're a show. Damn it,
That's right.
This is a part of a show. I'll show you why we're not a webinar and not a show. We do like promos for other stuff, like we have an upcoming Whispered Insights. Now look at these two dudes here.
Oof.
I mean, I actually went on a trip to Colombia with these two. And it was like I was walking around with royalty or something. They were calling it like Don Hoyos and Don Esteban or Don Coast. I was like, well, I can't be Don Leary, although I knew Noah Don Leary. But
he's your cousin.
Right. But Whispered Insights. Esteban Kolsky is bringing on one of our favorites, Jesus Hoyos, and they're going to be talking about governance of data and AI initiatives.
Although I will say, in only the people in our universe is that even vaguely interesting. Right.
Well,
no, there's people who are, let's say this, on the one hand, there are no two better people to talk about it than these two, because they will give it the necessary edge that it needs, and at the same time will explain what you need to know. On the other hand, I could literally go out my door, walk down the street and say, "Hey, governance of data and AI initiatives show coming up on Tuesday." And they'll go, "What?" And then I'll go, "Free as." And they'll go, "What?" And then I'll go, "How about free soda then?" And they'll go, "What's soda?" "Okay, free pop." And then they'll finally watch it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd even watch it after that if I didn't know what it was. But anyway, this is going to be good fun. And I don't know what language they'll be doing this in. Maybe it'll be bilingual, a little English, a little Spanish. Who knows? It'll be interesting.
But both of them carry a lot of weight, not only in LATAM, but here too.
Well, they lost a little too, but they're you're going to enjoy the conversation. Just check it out. Now, next week, I don't even know if we're actually going to be able to do a show next week, because you're going to be in New York, right?
No, not till Friday. So I'll be okay for next week.
Well, but I will be. Wait a minute. That didn't work. Right. I'll be in London.
Oh, whoa.
And it just so happens I will be in London for Sugar CRM's Connected conference. I guess that's called Connected.
Isn't it? But I thought it was an analyst summit.
Well, there's an analyst part and a user conference. It's like an analyst, I think, is on the 4th, and then the users on the 5th. And since I'm there, hanging out Big Ben and Westminster Abbey and all that kind of stuff, I thought maybe I'll do a few good minutes. And we're still kind of working out the details there, but I'm hopeful to be able to spend a few good minutes while they're in London at Sugar with the CEO, Craig Charlton, and Rich Green, who's the Chief Technology Officer. And I still love this guy's Twitter, or is it now called an X name? I don't like X name. I like Twitter name. Sugar Clint Oram, co-founder of Sugar. I still love saying Sugar Clint for whatever reason.
Also, one of the best people I know in this whole industry is that man.
Yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to him without the beard, because he had the beard for so long.
I saw him when I met him originally in 2004. He wasn't old enough to have a beard.
I feel like he left the bearded brotherhood for I don't know why, but and maybe that's why I look like I'm yelling or something or mad. You know, I always had that picture where I'm always looking like I'm mad at somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Guess I need to get a new picture because I'm not really all that mad. You know,
No, that's not your MO.
no, not that. So anyway, so stay tuned. You know, it is a little like 5 hours ahead over there, so I don't know exactly if we're going to be able to do something live that makes sense to the audience back here. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe.
Well, in other words, that's Thursday, so that will be the substitute for CRM Playaz next week.
Oh, is that how that works? Okay.
That's how I'm working it.
Okay.
That way I don't have to do anything.
All right. And you did have a interesting day yesterday. You want to talk a little summary of the shows that you did?
So monthly I do 2 shows same day. Actually, it was a mistake. I was supposed to do on 2 different days, but I ended up remembering wrongly. So I did Talking Headless, which is, of course, my hardcore industry analyst show. And the subjects at hand were Salesforce and things, of course, I really like and dislike. And I basically went through Salesforce, what they have to do in the coming months to, in part, to evolve, grow, have continued impact, and also to regain trust from some of the blowback they had in the beginning of this year. And I went through it in a fair amount of detail with some suggestions, some of them not the normal suggestions you would think. That's available on our website already, playazproductions.network, or on our YouTube channel. It's up and running. Then last night, Kenny Lauer, who's a former head of marketing of the Golden State Warriors, probably one of the leading people in the world when it comes to design and CX, and co-host with me of Engaged with Paul and Kenny, had a conversation with Tim Kobe. Tim Kobe is the CEO and founder of 8 Inc., and it's literally one of the great world design firms in the world. I mean, you name a major institution, and that means not only private sector companies like Tesla, Lamborghini, and those kind of things, but name a government or an education system, and these guys are working on how to refine the human experience in those institutions in a way that actually impacts, in a better way, human beings. He also, one of his big claims to fame is he is the creator of Apple Retail, the guy who made it what it is today. In fact, he recounted one story where Steve Jobs literally, now imagine this, Steve Jobs was so taken aback by what he was thinking.
How taken aback was? Oh, I thought I was supposed to.
Oh no, yeah. How taken aback?
How taken aback was he?
He was so taken aback that he literally said to Tim, "You're from another planet." And now just imagine Steve Jobs saying that, who seemed to be literally from another universe, right? So I highly recommend you listen to that discussion. It's already up on both locations for you to peruse.
I think they were. I saw most of one and some of the other. I have to go back because I really want to really listen more closely to Tim Kobe. But the Talking Headless, I have to say, I listened to that whole thing, and I had a bone to pick with you for one thing you said. Happened to be with you talking about the something I like and something I don't. And you said, you know, that's your favorite thing segment. I don't know. And then you kind of like said, well, you know, I'm sorry, Brent, but you know, I like this more than I like Stump the Godfather.
That's right.
And I have to tell you,
stand by it.
I took a mild offense to that, but you know, it just ironically, I was having this like instant message chat with a friend of mine, and I was talking about, just getting back, and I had to do some editing, and I had all this video and just talk about the shows. And I'm going to pop up part of this discussion so you can see what she said. She said, I try to catch your shows, but sadly I miss them most of the time.
Oh no.
I totally get it. Then I said, no worries, because I probably miss them too if I wasn't on them. I mean,
I already read the rest.
Honest. And so
skip ahead
without
to
any
the rest.
prompting, she says, I like the Stump the Godfathers. I did not prompt her. I did not say.
Now you understand why I like my segment better.
But hey,
basically, all you've done is invite people to be happy with bodily harm on me.
No, see, I stood up for you. I said, look, my buddy does not like those. Doesn't like those, but he's starting to like the Stump the God. See, I caught what she said, and I tried to adjust it. So you don't like Stump the Godfather, but you're liking Stump the Godfather because you do not like to be stumped. See, I tried to make sure she got it, and then it ended like this. She says, I like them. She likes the Stump. So she likes the Stump the Godfather. People are super engaged, and that's why she likes it. And I said, yeah, that's definitely the whole point of them. It's why, I kind of like asking you questions that you may have a little bit of a difficulty with. That might be a part of it. But
yeah, by getting the answers from sources that mean literally nothing to anybody.
Well, I think they do mean something, but I just wanted to point out to you that people are getting emotionally invested.
I'm so happy for them.
Stump the God.
I'm just so happy for them.
And you know what?
And now it's time for Stump the Godfather with the venerable Paul Greenberg. Brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
Venerable part.
Look at what Sahil. Look at what Sahil is saying.
Sahil, you're no longer a mentee of mine.
All right. So we are with Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. And this week's question, because we haven't had it in a couple of weeks, so I had to get a good one. I was trying to find a good one. And so this week's question: the market size in the generative AI market is projected to reach roughly $45 billion this year. But what is it expected to reach in 2030?
Before I go, let everyone guess, but before I guess, let me ask you this.
Oh boy.
Who's your source? Right?
I'm not going to tell you.
When I see 2030, I'm already suspicious, because it's only that other company whose name is so unimportant that I forgot it already is probably the source of this.
Okay, so I will say
if that's true,
I will
$2 trillion.
I will stipulate to this: it is not that other company.
All right.
So
okay.
So the market is,
because I would have guessed then 2 trillion, and then social CRM would be 20 quadrillion.
No,
but if it was
you're gonna know the name of the company after we get all the people's comments and guesses. Sahil, start throwing yours in there. Anybody else? Kristen, we welcome you to do. Oh, okay. Wow. 9.8 trillion.
Yeah, that's a little,
that's a biggie.
That's a little on the high side. See, I hope you're talking you're talking about inflationary Zimbabwe currency.
I don't know. Okay, so
9.8 trillion is going to work.
Rebecca is going. Wait a minute, 100 billion plus. 100 billion plus what, Rebecca?
Plus $1.
100 billion. Is Patrick going to get in on this one too? And how many wolves would that be? So we got 9.8 trillion, which I have to admit, kind of big. We got the 100 billion. Anybody else out there want to take a guess? Sven, give us a guess, Sven. You're usually pretty good at this stuff.
Qualifying for camera.
No, that's right. Rebecca,
that's Patrick. He's guessing
$1.
Dollars.
Oh, woof, woof.
Dollars. Woof woof.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
that's a good Patrick answer. Dollars.
I can look, Sven. I told you it's not the same. I know we got a lot of flack from the last one. It is not the same sources. You're gonna know this So I'm not going to give it to you because then you start looking and hunting and stuff. So I'm not going that way. All right, 150 billion, says Michael Klein. All right, so we're all over the map here. We got 9.8 trillion. We got 100 plus billion. We've got 150 billion. Sven is still questioning the source, but please feel free to put your guess in. And our guest in the green room, we see you. We'll be bringing it out shortly. If you want to give us a guess in the private chat little thing, and we'll tell everybody what you guess, we will be glad to include that. What are you, Sven? Are you a lawyer now or something? What is going on here?
No, apparently it's not the crazy resource from last time.
I told you.
I wouldn't call that a resource, Sven. That wasn't a resource.
That was a company that made 0.4 billion.
400 million.
400 million. Okay.
Given that means
considering it's already 45 billion now, it might be a little off on that one there, Sven. I'm just saying.
Maybe it'll no longer be distinguished as a market category.
So our guest, who I'm waiting for the official Venerable Paul Greenberg.
Well, I can see what our guests put in there.
I'm going to tell you.
I have access to what
I know. I'm just saying. I don't want to say who the guest is because that's what people actually come to the show to be introduced by you. So I'm not going to. But her guess is 300 billion. Now Michael is revising his up.
This is an auction. We're auctioning off ChatGPT here.
Igor,
I hear 500 billion. Do I hear 700 billion?
All right,
500 billion going once.
No, let me get these in. And I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Igor. I'm just going to say Igor. 130 billion, and Leroy is saying 200 billion plus. All right, Sven, are you going to stick to this 0.4? You got to get it in now because we're going to reveal it so we can move on to our guest. So Sven, I'm giving you like 5 seconds to put in a real guess, or else we're sticking with the 0.4. Just like the Major League Baseball salary. Well, maybe Shohei would have gotten that if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Shohei gets 500 billion.
All right, so Sven, you're going to be stuck at 0.4 billion, so you're pretty much out of the running. All right, the Venerable Paul Greenberg, your guess for this is
192 billion.
192 billion.
I'm sure it'll be more than that, but I'll leave it at that.
So we got 9.8 trillion. We've got 100 billion. We've got 150 billion. We have 130 billion.
The 150 though was changed to 500.
Oh, now he's 500 billion.
Right, 500 billion.
Sven is still sitting at now he's at 123 billion. Kristen is at 150 billion. And Sahil is saying it should be in trillion. All right. Well, we're gonna find out right now. All right, lots of guesses, and you put in what 192?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll add 10 billion to that. 202.
202.
What the hell?
All right. All guesses are
I'm shorting the market right now.
All guesses are locked in. The market. The answer to the question of how big will the generative AI market be in 2030 is $207 billion.
Not too far off. 5 billion. Me and
are you the closest?
Yeah, it depends on how you count. Leroy's 200 billion plus.
Well, you know what? Oh yeah. See, when you put 200 billion plus, that kind of, yeah.
Other than that, I'm the closest.
Kristen, it is a lot of spot. I don't think. See, you said 192 originally,
and then I changed it to 202 before the final bid was in.
but you've been pretty hard on folks that tried to do that in the past.
No, I don't. Not before you lock it down. It's only after you lock it down.
Okay.
And then people try to change it afterwards. They can't do that.
Well, all right. So you're just 3 off, right?
Five.
You had 202. All right, and you didn't go over. All right. So you're the winner on this one. And I got this from Statista.
Yeah. They're like what's the Meta Rotten Tomatoes? They're like Rotten Tomatoes. They gather up all the other statistics from other places and then figure it out. That's I never.
Sorry, Michael. There's no going back. No going back.
That's right. You made the commitment,
It
Michael.
says 207 right there. I don't. It's
Who knows?
Source. Look at the source, Finn. Finn gets so testy about this stuff.
Statista is
Market Insights. That's the source.
I used to use them for when I would get numbers for the PC and gaming industry stuff I was doing.
Yeah, I think their stuff is as good as anybody else's.
Right, which is pretty much not all that good. But I mean, who the hell could possibly figure that out in any of them? The one I've always kind of liked the best, and this might sound funny when it comes to at least CRM, those kind of things, is Gartner. I still think that they're kind of at least reasonable.
You know.
But again, take a look. How do you come up with, look at 2029. How do you possibly come up with 181 million, $1 billion, 900 million? How do you come up with the 900 million? And then, or go to 2025, 88 billion, 350 million. That makes no sense that you can come up with a number even that. I mean, I've seen come up down to pennies.
You know what? We'll put our own out. We'll put our own thing out. We'll put a Playaz estimate out.
Yeah, and then we'll identify how we came to the conclusion, which was not really. We guessed.
Throw some darts
a lot. We guessed a lot.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting. So 200. First of all, it's already 45 billion at the end of this year, and that's pretty robust growth all the way up. I mean, it's going to be roughly about 5 times that by 2030, which is pretty significant. So,
yeah,
it's interesting stuff. I find this interesting. Was this a good question?
As good as any other one you ask. I mean, what am I going to say?
Oh well, it was fun. You know what? I'm going to go back to my friend's statement. I'm going to tell you this is why nothing beats Stump the Godfather, because the engagement stuff. Where did she say that? People are super engaged. There it is.
I'm going to have to talk to your friend and kind of disabuse her of the notion.
That's Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. We're here for the super engagement. All right. I like that. That was kind of cool.
That's maybe what bringing the as means. Super engagement.
Right. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, I turn things over to the venerable Paul Greenberg for the introduction of today's guest.
All right. So this guest, actually, the generation of this actual appearance came from a conversation we had at Dreamforce a few weeks ago. Indira Gillingham, who's VP of Partners. She actually runs North American partnerships for Salesforce. We had this. She was sitting at a table with a bunch of us analysts, and among them me and Brent and a few others, and just an astonishing discussion in terms of her thinking. And she's very good at asking questions too, which is, believe me, not a norm. And she just sort of articulated extremely well how Salesforce thinks, how she thinks, and what it took, or what it takes, I should say, to really make a partnership work with a company. Now, I don't know her well. I met her one other time. I think it was about a year at Dreamforce the prior year.
At the breakfast at Dreamforce.
Right. But I was so impressed with how she was presenting what she was telling us that I thought she would make an amazing guest for this show. And, it's somebody obviously, I obviously took a look at her LinkedIn bio and things like that. And she came out of VMware, which is kind of an interesting transition over to Salesforce. I'm going to be very curious to hear what she has to say, but let's say this. We want to talk about super engaged. I was super engaged, and I know everyone here will be. So let's bring her on.
Awesome.
Did you say her name? Wait a minute, you didn't say her name, did you?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't even.
I said her name and her title, in fact.
Oh, okay. I think I blocked out because it was kind of a long. It was a long intro, but we're glad to see it. She's even rocking the Trailblazer Speedo. Hoodie.
Definitely not a speedo, Brett.
Yeah, don't mind me.
I can tell you though, Salesforce is the one company that you actually use the word speedo, and somebody's probably wearing one.
Well, we'll move on from that one though. But it was. Thank you for making time to join us. It was perfect timing because we had just seen you a couple of weeks ago, and had a really good conversation. And now, and you came in and you played along with us with Stump the Godfather, which always makes me feel good when our guests play around. But let's think about, there's all this talk about Gen AI, and you're heavy into partners and alliances. When you see something like the amount of money in the market for Gen AI is 45 billion now, it's going to grow to like 200 billion. What do you think that does to the way that partnerships and alliances are going to be carried out and kind of transformed as more and more emphasis goes into how AI is used in these enterprise apps and all these ISVs and other partners that you guys have to figure out, well, how do we work together to put all that out there? When you think, and this is, I know it's kind of a big question, but
yeah,
do you have any initial thoughts on how all this Gen AI stuff will actually transform the way that you look and carry out partnerships and alliances?
Yeah, and I will answer your question, Brett, but I do want to, maybe we ought to give a little credence to what Sahil said, because, in some ways, right, like you think about the mobile revolution, it was all around users. But Gen AI, it's an explosion of data. So maybe there is something there that he's onto around dollars being a bit bigger than we think that they will be, right?
So you were good with his 9.8 trillion.
I wouldn't go maybe that far, but perhaps traditional ways of measuring the market might change in the future state. So I'm gonna throw you a bone there,
Sahil. Man, you are so lucky. I swear to God, you're lucky. Well, we'll be talking about it though.
First of all, I love your guys' format. It's not every day you get to hang out with Playaz on a show, not a podcast. So thanks for having me. I'm super thrilled to be a part of this show and talk to our amazing ecosystem. I see some familiar friends. Leroy, actually someone who I used to work with a long time ago, and he's joining us from Africa. So
cool.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I actually think what we're going to start to see is, so traditional alliances and partnerships have been really linear, right? Like it's company A to company B. And I really think this new world of AI is going to create ecosystem of ecosystems. So this is where you take, partnership A, B, and C, and you make something greater than the sum of its parts. That's what I think we're going to start to see. We're starting to see a few examples of that within the Salesforce ecosystem where, partner A has depth in a particular cloud, customer has a broader transformational need. They're partnering with another partner in the Salesforce ecosystem and coming together to go and deliver jointly to the customer. So I think it's going to become a network effect.
So that actually goes to an interesting proposition, I guess. So we're dealing in a world of platforms and ecosystems. AI is, Gen AI in particular, but AI generally really is let's say, inserting itself with a vengeance into the platforms, and at the same time become a matter of real consideration for those ecosystems across them. In the meantime, you look at a company, say like Salesforce, which has, I'd say it has historically even the largest organic ecosystem I've ever seen. And it actually took Salesforce a few years to even realize that and then kind of institutionalize around it. But it's had it forever. And at the same time, to your point, the whole notion of partnerships begins to, let's say, starts getting rethought because how partners interact with companies changes too. So here's my question though, is on the other hand, the other part of this is, on the other hand, I think, so I don't remember, what was the company Salesforce just acquired? Air AI. Yeah, that.
AI.
I don't know them, so I'm going to look into them. But just acquired a company, first acquisition for a little while now. So here's the sort of two-part question. Question one is, how does Salesforce, basically how do you rethink partnerships? But how do you also say, okay, well, you're looking, let's say, at a partner in some new way, and I'm curious as to what you think the new way might be. But then you think, okay, well, maybe this is a better acquisition target than it is a partner. And how does that process even work where you make that recommendation? Because you're in, to me, what's historically been, and even more so now, a mission critical position. And so your thinking on this is really kind of critical to how these things evolve. So that's a lot to answer, but it was a long question too.
All right. Well, let's maybe break it down, and I'll revert to you as well. So, I always say every customer is a partner and every partner is a customer. And I truly think that is what is the differentiator about the Salesforce ecosystem as we think to the future. In terms of like how we partner differently, I don't know. I mean, I think there's lots of great answers you can give, but at the end of the day, this is about people and it's about companies. And so I think the formulas, we may call it different things, right? And take different approaches, but I think the formulas for success tend to be, the same, right? Your growth strategy and how you take market is sort of consistent. How you approach it might be a little different. So I think that's the same for Salesforce, but you guys were talking about, Steve Jobs just a little while ago while I was in the green room. And I love this approach that Steve Jobs had, actually, that I came across once when I was really trying to articulate, like, why do I love being an alliance professional or a go-to-market professional? And so Steve sort of talks about, there's organic innovation, right? Like it's your product and how you evolve it. There's the inorganic innovation. So, through acquisition. But really, the secret sauce is go-to-market innovation. And that is real. I mean, and Apple stores are a great example of, you made the consumer see the art of the possible in the product. And so I really I think that how we go to market with our partner, either as a customer or as a partner, is really the differentiator for the Salesforce ecosystem. So I don't know if that answered your question entirely, but maybe I'll give that as fodder to keep the dialogue going.
Nice.
Okay. So given that, you're making a determination. You look at your entire ecosystem, your customer ecosystem here, and you say, okay, well, we have this. Salesforce has this already natively. We don't have to worry about that. We have these gaps, and we also there are these companies out there that probably do a better job than we do at this, and those are your potential partners and/or acquisitions. On the other hand, I'm sure once in a while you run across somebody you think has enormous potential, but it's kind of, and I mean this word in terms of age of company and experience of company, immature, right? As a company. So what are your criteria, and what would be an example of a company that you took a chance on? Because you didn't really know, obviously, you're going to make a major strategic alliance with a company. That company is probably as big as you, if not even bigger, right? And pretty much what you're getting. But a company you kind of knew there was something going there, but you didn't quite know what you were getting or where it would go. And who is it? How did you determine that?
Okay. So first of all, what I'm responsible for is our consulting ecosystem, right? So when you think about partnerships, you can have super strategic partnerships like what we announced with Ford, right? Kind of building a new business model. We've got our consulting partnerships. We've got our ISV partnerships. We've got resell, which is another type of partnership. So I am responsible for consulting partners. And what I'll say to you is, there's the company name, and then there's the people you work with. And we are this is CRM, right, from a technology standpoint, but I truly believe at the end of the day, it's the people you're betting on. It's the people you work with that you're betting on. And so There is a consulting partner. 2 years ago, I met with the CEO. They had just gotten acquired by a larger firm, met with the CEO and their team, just to listen to their story, right? They had a large presence in Latin America, emerging in EMEA, and really wanted to establish their footprint in AMER. And so I took the meeting. I always take partner meetings. I love talking to partners. We have the best ecosystem on the planet. Makes my job really, really easy. And so I took the meeting, and after listening to their story for about 45 minutes, I just asked them, like, hey, listen, if I bet on you, are you guys in? They're like, we're 100% in. And so got the meetings with Jim Steele, who at the time was running our strategic, a strategic portfolio, started to get alignment across a number of our different executives. And now you hear their names in halls that you had not heard them before. So for me personally, it's super rewarding. And that is me doing my job and nothing more than that.
So, back when the cloud was kind of new, and, before that, everything was based on premise, and a lot of the, consulting partners were, technology and helping with, the physical integration and all that kind of stuff, and maintaining applications and stuff like that. Then the cloud hit, and all that kind of stuff moved up to the cloud, and the relationship with companies like yours, vendors, and their, consulting partners, it had to change, because a lot of the services that they handled were now being handled in the cloud. And so they had to figure out a way to service these customers, and they did. Now you fast forward to what's going on now with all the AI stuff, and that's causing a lot of transition and transformation, not just for your customers, but also for the relationship you have with your consulting partners, and the consulting partners have with your customers. So what are some of the biggest changes, but also what are the things that your partners are maybe struggling with in terms of transforming, so that they're better prepared to, build the kind of relationships and work on the kind of projects that this new kind of AI first era is kind of putting out there for us?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, right, consuming innovation is really hard as a customer, and then you kind of look at partners who have, so for our partners who are, I call them born into Salesforce, right? They do Salesforce all day, every day, 24/7. It's a lot easier because they focus so much on every single thing that we release. If you're some of our larger consulting partners, so think global, the big guys, like the colossal giants of consulting, or you think about the bigger regional SIs where they may have a practice that is outside of Salesforce core, right? All of a sudden, when we talk about something in Mule, they might have to go bring their integration practice, the awareness, right? Or if they're talking, if we're introducing something in Tableau, now you got to talk to your data and analytics practice leaders and delivery partners. And so it becomes about how do you cascade the message internally on the amount of innovation that we're driving, and the amount of not only organic innovation, but inorganic innovation that we're driving with our C360 messaging. So I think that's probably one of the harder challenges for our larger partners. Those who live and breathe Salesforce every day, not a problem. It's getting it down into like the folks who are delivering day to day in the accounts. So I'd probably say that's one of the larger challenges that we've seen. So we've combated it in a couple different ways. We actually just kickstarted this year sort of a sales blazer program, if you will, for our consulting partners, and we've received a lot of positive feedback on the fact that it's informing them to be able to have the conversation. So if I'm a Salesforce practitioner or partner leader, to give the keys of like when to recognize to bring in the Salesforce practice into an opportunity or into a sales cycle. That's really largely where we've been able to make some positive impact. So it's like, you don't have to know the entire message, just know enough to call me, pick up the phone, call me, and I'll come in and talk to you about what Salesforce is and how it can transform your business.
So kind of reversing that to some degree. I know I've been at the partner end of being not a Salesforce partner. This is Salesforce. Last time I was a partner, Salesforce didn't even exist yet. But I was a Microsoft partner though. And one of the things I've always found kind of tough especially when it comes to your specific area and consulting partners, is when you go to market and opportunities come, which let's say are not something for a professional services organization of the vendor to do, but you want to give one of your partners the opportunity, you are more than likely, especially a company of Salesforce's size and scope, I'll have 7, 8, 10 partners who could actually do the work. How do you decide how to bring them into the opportunity? I mean, what goes through your head and what kind of criteria you decide? Because that to me is really difficult, because partner A gets it, and then there's partner B, C, D, E, and F, and G who know they didn't. And then they're not all that happy that they didn't. So how do you think about it? And second, how do you deal with that too?
Yeah. Well, we have some pretty amazing mature programs. And it's better, never best, right? Like, and you're never done with how you think about evolving the programs that we have. But generally speaking, we actually look at it from the standpoint of what is the partner's, footprint in that account? Like, is it quote unquote a lighthouse account or a house account for that partner, right? And how are they serving in that account today? And we use that as kind of the basis to make determinations around how we work with partners. But usually partners will come to us and they'll say, hey, listen, we have this opportunity, right? We're working with your AE in the field on this account. And that's perfect. That's actually what we want. We want at all times, like, we want our AEs, our field, to be working with our partners' field and having alignment at the, kind of the boots on the ground level. And we know that, especially in enterprise accounts, right? Fortune 2000, we know that pretty much every partner's in that account. So it becomes more, we look at it at the opportunity level. Like, what are you specifically doing to drive, the transformation as we do that land and expand motion?
How do you deal with the hurt feelings of partners who didn't get the opportunity, who thought maybe they should have? Because that does happen. Nobody's that perfect.
Very diplomatically, Paul. Very diplomatic. Yeah. How I would answer
it. I'd like to kind of look at something a little different, and because all this there's a lot of new stuff going on. And what if you're in a situation where there's some new things, and you're viewing them as these things are going to be extremely important moving forward, but you look at your current roster of partners and you don't see like a 100% fit. Do you start looking outwards to try to find something, a partner that potentially is not really a part of the Salesforce ecosystem, but you can see that what they do is going to be very critical going forward? And do you start initiating some sort of relationship? And then a second part of this is, are you working at all with like your ventures and your M&A folks to say, we're seeing something here that you may need to take a look at to be a little bit more tighter underneath our umbrella, instead of just being a partner, but maybe actually becoming a part of what Salesforce offers?
Yeah. So you're sort of saying, like, essentially, when we see gaps in capability, right? We call it kind of capacity and capability. How do we solve for it, right? So it is the opportunity for Salesforce, right? Because when you look at the TAM, when you look at the Salesforce economy, there's certainly opportunity. So Paul, going back to your earlier question, there is ample opportunity for every partner, and it tenfold, right? So we want more partners, and we're excited by being able to work with them and help them grow and succeed. But when we see gaps, we typically will talk about where we see sort of the skill set gaps, and we'll share that information with our partners so that they can build and invest in their own capabilities. So that's one with our existing ecosystem. And then when we think about recruiting, we do it in a targeted way, right? So if we, for example, we see perhaps the need to beef up skills in a particular cloud, we may go look at partners who are expert in that in other ways and recruit them into the ecosystem. I probably would give the best example being AI. So a lot of our partners are building their AI skill sets inorganically. They're going and acquiring those skills. They are, you can pretty much go to any site and see how some of the larger GSIs have acquired companies to beef up their consulting skills, similar to what they did, in the early 2000s or so, building up the strategic muscle, right? So marrying implementation with strategic skills and strategic capability. So I'm seeing that trend again. And so for us to be able to recruit and bring in AI skill sets so that we have almost like the best marketplace for AI skills of any, tech, partner is something that we are looking to do.
I want to go a completely different place now, and just, you came from VMware, which is not sort of the usual path to Salesforce.
Yeah.
How'd that even happen?
Well, so I joined. I call myself a reformed consultant. I have benefited from being a consultant. Still carry many of the core skill sets, but have left that part of the world as a skill set myself in 2011, I think it was. So I went to VMware largely because I wanted to beef up my own skill sets when it comes to the infrastructure layer of the tech stack. So I'd worked in pretty much, every layer of the stack but infrastructure. And the hybrid cloud, multi-cloud story was really important to understand, and I wanted to be embedded in that. So and then the second thing is I really wanted to work for a company that had values and culture. And Pat Gelsinger, who was the CEO at the time, amazing CEO. He lived and breathed the values of what he espoused and wanted the entire company to follow day in and day out. So went there for that reason. I sort of stumbled into alliances, to be honest with you. And this whole cloud native application development and Kubernetes was something that I geeked out on for a little while. And then just sort of happened to find a role at Salesforce. So it was not a planned thing. I'm probably newer to this ecosystem than you all are. I think you've been there, from the beginning. Paul the Godfather, one of my favorite movies, by the way. So we can go into that as well. But I went there to beef up my own knowledge, and then came to Salesforce. So I sort of can look at the full stack end to end. I've driven digital transformation. I always like to joke I've worn the war wounds of what it's like to drive transformation and actually go from and modernize platforms. I've done that. And it is extremely challenging, but extremely rewarding. So I share a card with all the CIOs out there that are trying to do that as well.
Since you brought up culture, what role does culture play when you're looking at building alliances and partnerships? I know traditionally I think of somebody who works with consult, because I did my 2.5 year stint at PricewaterhouseCoopers doing a lot of that stuff a long time ago. But it never felt like, I worked on all these different projects, but I never felt like I was, embedded in any of the corporate cultures of the companies that I was working with.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, how does that fit? Do you, like, if you see a partner that has the perfect technology footprint and expertise for something, but man, it's hard to work with them for whatever reason because their culture is something that is just hard to get with. How do you deal with that? How does that play a role in the way that your partnership develops?
Yeah, I think every case study on forming alliances starts with number one success criteria is culture. You have to have cultural fit to actually build an alliance of any sort, right? It's kind of like marriage. You have to have shared values. And that's actually something that I mean, I'll tell you, like, I've only been in this ecosystem for 3.5 years. And it is, you guys know this. I mean, it is unlike anything I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Our ecosystem breeds Salesforce culture because it's actually their culture as well. And, you know, some of the things that I would say I'm really proud of, and I don't know if you guys know this, so a little bit of maybe awareness for you all and for those on the call. You know, we are baking diversity and you know, inclusion and equity into our ecosystem. And so we have a program called Impact Accelerator. And so this is around supporting URM partners. It's supporting, you know, women owners and providing that advice and coaching to really help them succeed and you know, grow their business is something that we're super proud of. We published Impact Report, which is the first edition, I think last year. Yeah, the V2 Mom. We do the V2 Mom together, shared V2 Moms with our partners. And our partners do the one, you know, as part of that 111, they give back. We are so proud of the fact that we have over, I think 30% of our ecosystem has some kind of a 1% pledge back, in addition to all the other giving that they do for their company, right? And so, so I would just say, yeah, shared values is the foundation by which we form the partnership.
So I know we're getting close to closing. So I what do you do in your non-existent, completely non-existent downtime?
Well, so I came prepared. I was waiting for the sports question, you know.
Oh,
she was brief. She was prepared. Okay.
Yeah. Number 7 in the AP ranking, University of Washington. I love college football.
Did you go there?
I did. Brent, I am a lot older than I look. So I was part of the era of the dogs when we were, the whammy in Miami,
wow. Really?
Oh yeah. 90s. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Washington broke the 56 game home winning streak of the U.
Yes.
Wow. I did not know you.
Oh yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
No.
That's pretty good. All right. So we kind of are at that point, I guess. So
okay.
Somebody told you to be prepared for something, but you know, the college football thing, that was good. But the big question, and we've enjoyed this conversation immensely. We really liked it. We liked talking to you in person a couple of weeks ago. We like this now, but this last question determines whether we'll ever speak to you again.
Oh wow!
Anywhere at any time.
All right.
So you mentioned you like college football, but are you a fan of the NFL?
I am, but I'm probably not as big of a fan as you are. I saw you wore a Rams hat in one of your other sessions, and you guys hate the Patriots, is what I know. So,
whoa.
Tell me, what's the?
I feel like you're probably going to get through this. Then. So do you have a favorite NFL team?
I'm going to say I'm a little bit of a bandwagoner on this one. I'm following the Seahawks because I live in Seattle and everybody here is a Seahawks fan. So I'm more college football than NFL, but I watch the NFL. Let me put it that way. So I'm going to go with Seahawks.
Well,
you're safe.
You're safe, other than hopefully next Monday night when I hope you lose because I'm a Giants fan. Right. So, but other than that, you are completely safe. The only wrong answer was exactly as you were briefed by somebody, and we're going to have to get to the bottom.
We're going to have to get on who was that?
Yeah, who the snitch is.
I did my homework.
Yeah, either you found that out on your own, but if somebody on the AR team briefed you, we'll find out who it is. Right.
In fact, Colin Fleming's session, I think, is where you guys profoundly declared your engagement.
All right.
So, but I am available next week if you need a substitute for your show.
Well, you know what? We're definitely having you back. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, now that we got past the only speed bump, although I will take a little offense because you did say call. This is not.
Yeah, you called it right. It's not a call. Right? You said this call.
Oh no, I slipped. I opened with show and broadcast and not a podcast, and now I slipped.
But you know what?
Well, actually, we didn't mention call as one of the options, so we're giving you an out there.
Yeah, we didn't explicitly say call, but just don't let it happen the next time you're on the show. Okay.
I love this show, and I thought I had the best job in the world, and I think I'm gonna have to add some kind of broadcasting element to this to make it really fun and hang out with the Playaz.
Ooh, all right. And are you still giving Sahil a little credit for the trillions for the AI after all this? Or?
I won't go as high as him, but I'm gonna give him the courage badge for thinking real big. And
well, that's Sahil. He is that kind of young guy who is he's really bright, like really bright. He's always thinking about new ideas. He's run a company successfully, got rid of the company when he wanted to, is learning new ways of approaching things all the time. I mean, the guy is good. So, I mean, I love him, but he's a great guy, but 9.8 trillion is a bit much.
And on that note, thanks again for joining us. If you can stick around after we end the stream, because the little uploading of your recording is going to be going on, so we don't want you to just drop off after we end. But after saying all that, on behalf of Indira Gillingham, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we can't say goodbye until we say hello to Minnie.
She is the one. The one.
Bye. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you.